Does it really only take 3.5% of a country's population to force real political change? Harvard Kennedy School professor Erica Chenoweth and their co-authors studied hundreds of campaigns around the world and found something surprising. Nonviolent movements that mobilized at least 3.5% of the population were much more likely to succeed. The reason is pretty straightforward. If 3.5% of a population are actively participating in a movement, it means that an even higher proportion of the population is likely to be sympathetic to the cause. In other words, these movements gain the support of people who aren't actively participating. Now, it's important to note that even Professor Chenoweth doesn't see the 3.5% rule as a rule as much as it is a tendency. In a 2020 discussion paper, they clarify that other factors, momentum, organization, strategic leadership, and sustainability, are likely as important as large-scale participation in achieving movement success and are often precursors to achieving 3.5% participation. Still, history shows this pattern again and again, from movements that challenge authoritarian regimes to protests that reshape politics in democratic countries. Professor Chenoweth and the research team continue to collect data on protests, demonstrations, and other political crowds as part of the Crowd Counting Consortium, a public interest and scholarly project to document protests and demonstrations in the United States. In addition to the size of movements, they also argue that the diversity of a movement is just as important. A movement that accumulates support from a broad coalition of identities and groups is more likely to succeed than one that just pulls the majority of its support from one demographic. What other factors do you think lead to successful movements? Let us know in the comments.